That's so heavy in the most beautiful way.
I know. Marissa makes some of the most breathtakingly sad songs that I've ever heard.
I can understand that.
Yeah, and she's just famous for that, like, siren out at sea voice.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I wrote down was how airy her delivery was and how it just sits in the mix
Yeah,
beautifully. It's so nice.
I know. And she usually sings a lot more sonorous than this. Like, this song really struck me when it was released this summer because this is the most ghostly I've ever heard her sound. And it just suits this song and this album so well because this was actually a pandemic album that she recorded and produced all by herself, and all of the lyrics are like lifted from just these feelings that she got while binge watching unsolved mysteries on TV, which
Wow.
is a fantastic way to just find inspiration.
Yeah, so I guess each one of the songs is kind of like I don't know, almost like the story is lifted from one of those events, I suppose.
Yeah, they're all like these really sort of poetic ghost stories from like different shattered lives.
Hmm.
But she has just such a remarkable back catalog too, because I started listening to her around 2015. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to her at what is starting to become like her middle period.
Sure.
She was working with a producer named Randall Dunn, who is famous for producing Son of Son's middle albums. And
Okay,
it's
that
yeah,
that tracks for you.
yeah, and so it's kind of it makes a lot of sense when you hear those records because they don't sound terribly different from this, but they're just huge in terms of just like the atmospheric sound design, and they're lovely and they're so epic and multi-layered and just these elaborate gothic tapestries of art.
That was one of the things that I was going to mention is just how cinematic this sounds, especially with the stacks of like flutes and stuff like that. Like
Oh yeah.
the flute arrangement almost reminded me kind of like the flute arrangement to Stairway to Heaven
Oh totally, yeah.
in an interesting way. Just because I feel like you almost never hear that kind of arrangement for like a bass and all the different size flutes all playing. Like I feel like that's a very specific, style of arrangement that doesn't get used very often, and I love it whenever it does.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so my next song is going to be a little bit more upbeat than that one. But really, that's not very hard now, is it?
Yeah, we need a bit of a palate cleanser.
Yeah, a little bit. So this is just a fun little reggae groove inspired song
Oh hell
from
yeah.
a band called New Beat Fund, and they are a pop group based out of Los Angeles. I really couldn't find a whole lot of info about this band, but it was just something that popped on my Discover Weekly a couple of weeks ago. I grooved to it and I was like, all right, this is a good tune. So this song is called Juice by New Beat Fund.